What's going on, everyone? I'm Zach, and today I'm going to be doing a little breakdown while I discuss some of the reasons that I personally think are responsible for the Pacers' down year compared to the Eastern Conference run we saw from them just 8 months ago with almost the exact same roster. I don't think it's as clean cut as Tyrese Halliburton having a bad back and not being able to sleep in a Tempur-Pedic bed every night while he's on the road, but I also don't think it's as drastic as Tyrese simply forgetting how to play the game of basketball. I personally believe the foremost reason is just shots not falling, plain and simple. The Pacers had a historically great offense last year, and they made a ton of shots, and a lot of those shots are ones that aren't normally going to fall, and that's okay. At the end of the day, a bucket is a bucket. However, you cannot always rely on tough shot making to bail you out of every single situation, especially in a tightly contested game late in the fourth quarter. It's not a sustainable offensive system, which is very obvious, especially when the Pacers are struggling to make the easy shots to start the season as well. And that isn't to say that the Pacers can't get a single good look and that this offense is broken, because they are getting those good looks, they just aren't converting, which of course happens in the sport, and this team has to realize they need to stay true to their identity, and those exact shots that aren't falling right now will eventually go in. Indiana's offense last year flourished when the team was playing extremely fast with the ball in Tyrese's hands, allowing him to run those quick actions, but primarily sticking to a drive and kick system while throwing in some pick and pops with Miles, and also keeping a body in the dunker spot or sending a cutter baseline for an easy alley-oop or a backdoor cut, which is why players like Obi Toppin and Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard, the list goes on and on, but that's why they fit so well next to Tyrese Halliburton. Everyone knew their respective role and for the most part stuck to that role and excelled at it, as Tyrese was making it extremely easy for them to do so, which is a prime example of how a good supporting cast is one of the most important staples of roster construction throughout the history of the NBA, but those role players are only ever going to be as good as their star players make them and allow them to be. Going hand in hand with the lack of shot making is the absolute nosedive in confidence and chemistry that the team has seen and suffered from this year. This Indiana team looks so wildly dejected every single night, and they are truly a ghost of their former selves compared to the laughing, skipping, and confident team we saw just last year. It's crystal clear to me, and the body language tells the entire story, especially for Halliburton. The clips I have playing in the background are from his two best offensive games last year against the Heat and the Hornets, and right off the bat, it is night and day, and very clear that these games are from last season, as you can see how much more confident he is and how much more confident that makes his teammates in turn. That entire roster believed that once the ball touched their hands off of a Halliburton pass, it was going up and it was going in, no questions asked. Tyrese has shown that he is more than capable of being this team's leader, but after being understandably frustrated with his own personal struggles shooting and passing the ball so far this season, I have no doubt that he will regain that confidence and his team will follow suit shortly after. Another lost point of discussion when talking about Indiana's slow start is the absolutely devastating injuries the team has faced all year. James Wiseman suffered an Achilles injury early in the season, and then Isaiah Jackson went down with the exact same injury a few weeks later. Two Achilles injuries in the same team in the same year for the same position just a few weeks apart is as demoralizing as it gets. Andrew Nembhard has had some recurring left knee issues that still haven't been fully disclosed outside of being labeled as precaution and injury management, while Aaron Nesmith has been out for almost 2 months now with a more severe ankle sprain. Another thought that comes to mind for me personally is the possibility of Rick Carlisle losing the locker room, and I might be alone in this notion as it is purely speculation on my part, but I'm not particularly convinced that he had it in the first place, especially to start the season. It's not exactly a secret that his coaching methods cost the Pacers in the playoffs last year, specifically not fouling up 3, which led to the infamous Jaylen Brown shot. Now, you don't win a playoff series on one shot, but the momentum that the Pacers should have had after a theoretical win in that game, where they did everything right outside of not fouling on that final possession, and who knows how the rest of that series would have played out. Even this year in post-game interviews, he has been quoted doubting the team's effort level, going so far as to say the Hornets just wanted it more following a loss to Charlotte just earlier this week. Throw that on top of the weird minutes rotations he's made into a staple of his coaching, along with the constant blaming of his team and NBA officials, and the bad taste it could all be leaving in the roster's mouth, and it could result in the loss of his job sooner rather than later. I definitely believe that the Pacers have more than enough time to turn it around, and I truly hope as a fan of the sport that they get back to their roots and find that joy and offensive system that is such an amazing thing to watch in action. The lingering injury should hopefully be subsiding soon, and the trade season is rapidly approaching, so Chad Buchanan will have the chance to go out and get another backup big or a wing to be able to try to patch the early holes that have become apparent. I really do believe the Pacers are a center not named Obi Toppin, away from starting to look like their former selves. One name that comes to mind for me on the trade market is Goga Batadze, someone who Pacers fans are already very familiar with. His tenure with the Magic this year especially has been a strong showcasing of the 25-year-old's rebounding and post-scoring potential. Another player that has been widely discussed in trade conversations lately is Herb Jones, who I personally believe would be invaluable to a team like the Pacers. He's a perfect fit all across the board. Everyone knows what Herb brings to the table defensively, but the 6'7 wing has consistently worked on his jumper and it only continues to get better, while simultaneously not taking the ball out of the team's distinguished stars' hands as well. Trustworthy but not disruptive, which is the best kind of 3-and-D player that any team could ask for. Literally as I'm recording this, the Pacers just traded for Thomas Bryant in a deal with the Heat, which is a move that I personally love. I think an offensive-minded center like Bryant will thrive in a system led by Tyrese, and he wasn't getting much playing time for the Heat anyways, so I definitely like this move for all parties involved. And on the same night, Tyrese just dropped 32 and 11 against the Sixers, so like I was saying before, this Pacers team is still very much alive and well, and will continue to be a threat in the Eastern Conference this year despite whatever doubt their slow start may have created. I'm very new to the video and audio aspects of YouTube, so this channel is definitely going to be a work in progress, but my goal is to create a space for all NBA fans to be able to hear their favorite team be talked about, no matter how small or big of a market they are, while they can also listen and stay up to date with other teams and big stories across the league as well. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for my next video, as I will be discussing what a volume shooting combo guard could do for the Magic to take their next leap, as they look to keep pushing up the ranks of the Eastern Conference front while dealing with a plethora of injuries themselves. Peace.